Welcome to Whiskey One, the channel for the novice, the curious, and the connoisseur. I'm Whiskey One, and once again we have our good friend Nick the Fish.
Hello.
And this was actually his idea. So we're going to get into Bozal Mezcal, so stick around. Whiskey fam, time to dram. Whiskey fam, you're gonna love this video because this is what I refer to as the other whiskey. So especially if you're into Scotch, I think you're really gonna gravitate to these three that we're gonna try today. But before we do that, I want to encourage all you guys that are just now joining us, maybe you've just seen this video for the first time or you come across our channel for the first time, consider subscribing. We would love to have your support. If you love the video, make sure to hit that like button and comment below, especially if you would love to see us talk a little bit more about Mezcal, tequila, or other agave spirits. We definitely would like to see what you guys have to think, especially if you've tried these before. Also, we're branching out and we're going to be expanding the channel's presence with some podcasts and other things. So if you guys can join our Patreon page, we'll leave some information in the description below. And we'll also have a scannable icon here that you could just use your phone to scan, even take a picture, tap it, and it'll take you right to our Patreon page. So definitely would love to get your support there as well. Any little bit helps. So let's get into this, my man. These are all clear, by the way. On camera, I'm not sure exactly how it looks, but these are all crystal clear. There's like no color.
100% unaged mezcals. They do aged also. None of these. They do the reposado and añejo and mezcal also. All these are 100% unaged.
Yeah. Now, Bozal. If you have not tried Bozal, but you've tried Mezcal, I'm just going to let the cat out the bag. It's a good product. I love the bottling, but as far as the flavor, and we're going to get into all that here in a second, you will not be disappointed. I will say that they're more on the premium side, so if you're looking for a bottle that's cheap or just very affordable, Bozal's probably not going to be in your ballpark, but just know that you put your money where your mouth is with this stuff. Like, you get your money's worth for sure if you get a bottle of Bozal. It's just going to be a matter of like, what is your style? And that's really like why we wanted to do this video, is because there's a lot of different selections from Bozal, and let's go ahead and get into that. We're going to start with the Quiche. It could be Quish. I don't know. I might be like murdering that name. I hope not. But here's the Quiche. Yep. All right, so these are all bottled at 47% alcohol, so about 94 proof. So there's not going to be any differences as far as like the overall strength of these. And honestly, what's different about Mezcal that I notice is very different from tequila is most tequila, not all, most is bottled at 80 proof. So right around that 40%, very low in proof, but when it comes to Mezcal, like they amp it up and they're not afraid to bring you the heat, right? And I like that.
Also a lot more intensity. I know usually higher end tequila is more smooth, easy drinking, and these are possibly opposite.
Yep.
They have a lot of intensity. They bring a lot of different flavors, and each one is a different adventure for sure.
Just know, like, it will be a little bit more aggressive. Like, it's challenging. It's got a lot going on. Very smoky and earthy and very different. It feels sweet. Almost like they mixed a little bit of tequila and what I would consider traditional Mezcal. This is using a Quish maguey. Now, I'm going to educate you real quick. Agave is the plant that's used to make this stuff, just like agave is used to make tequila. The only thing is, when you make tequila, it has to be made from Blue Weber agave. Just know that maguey and agave are they're exactly the same thing. They're just different words to describe the same thing. It's the kind of plant. Bozal is Spanish for wild or untamed. And I like that. That's exactly what this feels like.
They like to highlight different magueys. do single origin, single farm. Some of them are blended. The Sacrificio we're going to get to is, the other two are a single. So they're highlighting one agave plant from one region.
Yep. And oh man, we'll get into Sacrificio. One of these is Sacrificio, right? That's
Yes.
this guy. And we'll talk about what that means, because that's where you get really interesting. Like, you think you're getting interesting with Mezcal, it takes it to a whole different level. So what are you getting on the nose?
Earthy, tropical, almost a little bit of a chili.
I could see that. Some green pepper, which you don't really pick out too much in agave spirits, but I get green pepper. Serrano peppers too. It's a little spicy, not spice forward, but
Almost
earthy.
a tangy, like a, not quite bitter, like a tangy.
Yeah, like citrus, tropical fruit, a little bit of papaya, pineapple, but like not just the pineapple chunks, but like the husks that come with it too. Like, it just threw the whole thing and just crushed it.
And some smokiness, light on
smoke.
this one, but you get some smoke. I know they cook the agave plants
Yep.
buried on top of charcoals. That's how they cook them before they smash them up to make the mezcal. So you're gonna get a little bit of a smoky note from most of them.
Tequila's oven cooked, so mostly like steamed or cooked in an oven, right? A conventional oven or like a ceramic oven or a brick oven. Whereas Mezcal, in order for them to get that flavor, that smoky flavor, they literally cook the piñas, or like the hearts of those agaves that have been harvested. They cook them, they roast them, and then they just dump them into like an earthen pit and bury them. And they just let them sit there for like a couple days just to really cook and get that earthy musk, if you will. Like, it's super musky and earthy. But this one feels fruit forward, but I get a little bit of herbaceousness, so a lot of herbs and spices to it, but tropical fruit and smoky. Oh, I love it. Oh, that's nice. Cheers, my friend. Let's taste this one real quick. Wow. Crisp, but also a little bit of clinginess, but like crisp.
Some black pepper or a pepper.
Yep.
And then a lot of fruits.
Lemon?
Pineapple,
Now I'm getting
lemon.
lemon. I don't know. I'm getting lemon, but tropical fruit. A little mango, papaya. It's weird because when I think of Mezcal, I don't typically think of that. It's usually the tequilas that have that tropical, fruit-forward flavor to them.
Earthy, citrusy, like a papaya with some lime squirted on it.
Yeah. But it feels dry, like dried fruits that have been smoked. Like, they literally took chunks of fruit, let them sit there on a smoker for a while. So I'm getting some soot, some creosote. It's somewhat ashy. It doesn't turn me off because I like smoky spirits. But man, that smoke hangs on to the palate. I think that's the thing that like kind of hangs out the most, is that smoke. But very, very earthy. To your point, like super earthy. I like it. I'm ready to try that, the next one, which is the Borrego. And this is a Sacrificio. So I'm going to cleanse the palate real quick.
It's a good idea.
And get into this. Sacrificio. Talk to us about Sacrificio, because I know we both like the Sacrificios.
During the second distillation, they'll put meat and herbs or spices or fruits into the still and run the still, and the second distillation is completed with the meats and spices and herbs actually in the liquid in the bottom. And this one is actually Borrego, so it was a leg of lamb that they put in there during the second distillation.
I love this nose though. Seriously, like this is really good. The nose wise, I just like enticing, makes you just kind of want to sit there and nose it over and over again. Oh, there's something about this.
Not getting much of a meaty.
No.
On the nose, it's very, just mostly floral. You get a light smokiness, a lot of a...
Wow, a leg of lamb. Very subtle, very soft, like meat-wise. I'm not getting very much, but it's kind of like hanging out. Like the friend at a party that didn't really want to go to the party and just kind of wait for everybody to be ready to go. it's hanging out in that background, you know?
And this one is actually a blend of Espadin and Tobala. So this one is not a single Magua, it's a...
Now I'm getting into that taste. It's, wow. Again, very herbaceous on the taste.
And like an oily...
It's oily,
The
yes.
oily
Yeah.
feeling, I think, has kind of a... like maybe a fattiness to it.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever had like tropical candy chews? Like the ones that are mango or papaya. This reminds me of that, where you're chewing on it and the fruitiness feels candied. I think this is my favorite so far.
It has
Of the two. It's very
the different
interesting.
oily mouthfeel. I think might have to do with the meat in the distillation.
Yeah.
And at the end where I got a subtle smoke, this one gets smoke, and maybe like if you smoked a leg of lamb and pulled off a little piece of the outside, the crispy, and ate that, that's the best. That's the best. It kind of reminds me of that.
I'm one of those types of people that I love different. Anything that's just different and sets itself apart from everything else, I'm going to gravitate to that. And that's what this feels like. It doesn't feel very traditional in a sense of mezcal. And I'm really digging that. But I'm not getting as much like that savory
It's
meat.
very different.
So let's dive into this last one, which is the Habali.
Yes, this one is the Habali Reserve. That's another rare and hard to work with agave.
Oh, that's right.
That's the one that it foams up in the still and can cause it to explode. So they have to take some care in using that one.
Now this feels more close to what I think of mezcal. This has that like tire factory, smoky rubber, like someone just peeled out in the front.
Really earthy, smoky, and I think I get a lot of like a mineral notes, like it's a minerally
Yeah, a lot of brine, definitely a lot of brine.
sweetness coming through still for sure.
You can see how much different it is between Borrego and the Quish. Like I feel like this one is very different.
Sweet, but not as fruity.
Yeah, I get a little lime, but almost like with the lime husk. Like if you squeeze the lime, just threw it in your drink. And what's that drink called where it's mostly made with like limes and the mint?
Like a mojito.
A mojito. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Is something that would go great with a mojito.
That's a good idea.
All right, cheers. Wow, very smoky.
Almost a menthol, like a minty, smoky.
I'm telling you, and it's oily. Like you thought that was oily, this is more oily. If you're a peat head, meaning you like whiskey that's been heavily peated, you like them smoky and aggressive, the Habali is going to be the direction you want to go. It's not as complicated, more going on as the front two, but super smoky. I think if you're like, you like them really smoky, the Habali's the way you want to go.
Like Lefroy of Mezcal.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it. The Lefroy Mezcal. And it's also herbal, just not as much as like the front two, right?
More like a menthol, like a minty menthol.
Yeah.
And the sweetness is, I would say, like sugarcane, like not as fruit. You can't really identify a fruit, just like a clean, sweet flavor.
All right, we tried all three. Which one is your favorite?
This one has actually been my favorite for a long time. And it's hard to say if anything has changed. I'm going to have to revisit. Let me see.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to cleanse the palate. I know that my favorite is going to be amongst these two. So I'm going to cleanse my palate real quick and I'm going to decide between these two. But they're all three good. Like, don't get me wrong. When it comes to Bozal, they knock it out the park. I think it comes a matter of like preference. Like, what are you in the mood for that day, right?
After you have that sip of water, give that one a nose again, and it actually smells meaty.
Okay, let me go back to this one because I kind of lean in towards this one. It's one of these two, but
Watch now.
the meatiness of it is more on the tail. It's just not as profound as like other types of Sacrificio that I've tasted. I know you've let me try the Iberico, we've tried Pechuga, and those are just like, wow. As soon as you taste them, as soon as you nose them, you notice like there's something going on here that's got like some meat to it, you know, a little savoriness to it.
Did you notice it a little bit more on the nose or after the other ones?
No, it was more on the taste. More on the taste. You know what it is every time I go to this, it feels like it's a mix of gin and mezcal. And what's the price on these? What's the price point?
The Quish, and also most of the other turquoise bottles go for around 60, right around there.
Okay.
The Sacrificios are usually about 100, and there's about 4 or 5 different, and they'll always be in the red bottle. And the Reservas are also about 120, and they try to highlight some rare single origin stuff. All of them are amazing and bring a lot to the table, but there's actually easily 5 in each range or so, and they come out at different times.
Yeah, these are
some may not
seasonal,
be
right?
available anymore yet.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like the bottles themselves, they're ceramic and they look beautiful. Like it's just a nice little addition to the bar. Like if anything, it's a good talking point, a good sell to have your friends over and like, hey, try this out. Like, whoa, what's that? Now, do you have your favorite? Is it the smoky one?
I think so. I think I'm gonna have to stick with that one. Yeah.
The Habali. Okay. So my favorite, I did go back to the Quiche, and the Borrego is still my favorite. Maybe it is the fact that it is a Sacrificio and I like them unique, interesting, different, wild, crazy. But yeah, this one's my favorite. All right, folks. Well, hopefully like this gave you some insight. I know I went into like a Total Wine. I saw several of them and I was like curious, like which one do I grab? Now, when I go back, I know which one I want to grab for sure. And this isn't like the whole lineup. There's plenty more. And Nick, if you're game, I'd like to definitely go through a couple more with you.
We could do another 3 for sure.
All right. I'm game, man. So, my friend, thank you for coming over. Appreciate it. As always, had a lot of fun. All right. Cheers again. And to all you guys watching, we appreciate all the support. Don't forget to check us out on our social medias. We got Facebook and, of course, Instagram at Whiskey One Channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button if you enjoyed watching this video. Also, again, become a Patreon. It would really go a long way to show your support and help us grow. Patreons will have a lot of say this year on the direction of the channel and all the things that we're going to be talking about in our upcoming videos. So here at Whiskey One, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers.
Shut up and sit down.